So you're gonna hear a lot from me today. But welcome to today's meeting. We are going to cover the same content from this past Monday, which is a little different from usual because usually we look at more content-based stuff like grammar, spelling, stuff like that. But today we're going to talk about basically like tutoring tips, kind of like how to make a good tutoring environment for your student, and stuff similar to that. Okay. So looking at the agenda for today, we are going to start off our usual with like an introduction, reminders and everything before getting into how to develop an environment, like in a tutoring situation, developing your learning environment and like basics of that. Then we're going to get into a sample lesson, which obviously is not going to be the same type of sample lesson we've looked at before. It's gonna be based off of a little different, like getting to know your student, and how generally classes should be formatted in situations, stuff like that. And then we're gonna talk about our discussion prompt, which I will have you guys type in the chat based off of the discussion prompt before closing it off with resources. Sorry. Starting off, for the reminders, there are some links in the presentation to the APP masterclass. If you would like to join the masterclass, then the magazine that recently opened up that has many different roles that you can join either as an artist or a general helper. And there's oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. There's a link, obviously, detailing the roles of all the positions you can have in the magazine. Then finally, that's very new, is the merch pre-orders, where my gosh, I am so sorry. The merch, there's only one merch available for APP at this point. It's a sweatshirt. It's very nice. I think it only comes in white, and it just has like a little thing on the front that says APP, and then on the back it has this really nice design. Then there's also our usual tutor policies that you can see on pages 10 and beyond of the APP info document. Tutor contract must be turned in or tutoring will be terminated. Okay. Then just a reminder for tutor ranks and the point system. So each mentorship meeting equals 1 point contributing to your tutor rank, where, let's see. Oh, and other things that contribute to gaining points: if you get reviews from your students about you, 3 stars is 0.5 points, 4 stars is 1, 5 stars is 2. Leveling up opens up rewards and benefits, including scholarships, prizes, Discord roles, etc. Not that the Discord is super active anymore. And going to a speaker spirit series, which also I think they're trying to pick up more recently, so you'll have more opportunities to join then. But they are kind of like a rare treat nowadays. Will earn you 3 points. And the different rewards for each rank. The first one is bronze, which is 10 points gained, just 10 mentorship meetings. Very fun, very easy to gain. Will get you bronze tutor Discord role and 1 entry in giveaways. Silver is 20 points, you'll get the silver rank tutor Discord role and 2 entries in giveaways. And finally, gold is earned through 30 points. You'll get the gold rank tutor Discord role, and you'll get a certificate and 3 entries in giveaways, Instagram shoutouts, and recognition. Finally, we have the diamond rank tutors, which you gain from 50 points. You'll get the diamond rank tutor Discord role, certificate, 5 entries into the giveaways, Instagram shoutouts, recognition, a website profile, like a lot of the core team get on the APP website, scholarships, and much more rewards. Points are great to earn. Ranks benefit a lot. They are great to work for. Okay, going into the learning environment and general statements about tutoring, tips, curriculum, stuff like that. So, introduction to how tutor betterment. In order for students to learn and develop their skills in the English language, it is necessary for them to have a well-trained tutor. Good tutors are patient with their student, provide constant encouragement to their student, very positive environment, hopefully, available when student needs help, do not overstep boundaries, make their student feel uncomfortable. Be very aware of boundaries. It's always nice to be very close with your student, be friendly with your student, of course. Obviously, try to stay on task and working towards a goal in this professional environment, and try not to deviate too much. So this says adjustments for frequency level is a little different. This talks more about which stage of, which stage of familiarity you are with your student. So just when you're meeting your student, make sure you start off your classes by introducing yourself, ask a student about themselves, allow for the student to get to know you a little better so that they feel more comfortable in their learning environment. So very introductory, getting to know each other is very important. Intermediate, as you get to know each other better, remember to be patient with them because you want to encourage them. Let them know what you will be teaching. So obviously open each class saying, this is what we'll cover. Are you okay with that? Does this sound good? Is there anything else you want to look at? Stuff like that. Get them familiarized with the material by presenting it clearly, use visuals, and be welcoming to all questions. And always make sure to have a lull in the instruction and ask, hey, do you have any questions? Am I explaining this all right? Stuff like that. Then with advanced, once a student is well known to your material and teaching style, always welcome feedback, start giving practices, homework, work on some assignments together with your student, let them work on a few alone while you hang tight for questions. Again, not necessarily a lull, but once you present information, make sure to also present them with material to apply it with, even within class. If you feel that you might be like wasting in-class time, you're not. Just chop it up more. Try not to stuff too much info into one class and give them time to practice and apply what they're learning within the class. So then superior, after the student has finished their assignments well, commend them and let them know how they have progressed. This will help them realize how they are doing and will influence them to keep persisting. When the class ends, vocalize the upcoming class objective, say something positive as you leave, and then keep in touch with your student through messages. And again, when you are giving a summary of what you're going to do next class, always be open, say, hey, is there anything specific you need to look at, either that you've seen in class or something that you're struggling with that you want to focus on. Always be malleable for your student. Try not to be too strict with your curriculum at points. Though obviously if your student really doesn't have anything specific, the curriculum itself can help a lot with content. So I guess just find a good, happy balance between flexibility and maintaining the curriculum. Getting into tips and strategies, first, take a positive approach. Like I mentioned before, positivity is great. Boosting your students' confidence can help them achieve their academic goals and instills them with a feeling of self-efficiency. It can help your student feel enthusiastic about your tutoring sessions for them to learn more effectively. Always praise them, say, I understand how you made that mistake, or I'm very impressed that you got this, or that might sound a little, what is the term? I can't think of that, but obviously be pleasant, be nice, give compliments once they've completed their work, praise them. Obviously you're still going to give them criticism. Just be nice with the criticism, be considerate, don't be rude. Getting into working together. Tutoring is a collaborative process, so work with your students to tailor their learning plans for themselves. Keep an open path for communication to continue evolving learning plans that will work for the better, work for the both of you. Like I mentioned before, open communication, be flexible, stuff like that. Listening gives students room to work out problems on their own, allowing them to feel comfortable talking, learning at their own pace. Stay connected. Keep in touch with your students to stay updated on their progress or issues they may be facing. If possible, keeping in touch with their parents and teachers can also help you adjust lessons to align with your students' learning needs. Excuse me, 1 second. Okay. Here are some videos that you would watch independently, your own time, not in your class. But the first one talks about building a positive learning classroom environment, more general, but very helpful, very informative. And then create a successful online learning environment, a little more specific. They sound pretty similar to one another, but finding resources, watching this video and finding resources about teaching in an online platform is very important, because a lot of the time when you look up like tips on tutoring, tips on English grammar, stuff like that, it will be centered around an in-person situation. So I think the second link is very helpful, especially for our specific situation. Also, I'm going to, I'll do that later. Anyways, classroom samples. So yeah, these are the sample lessons. First off, looking at the lesson plan, section 1, open up lessons with a conversation. If you're just starting out with your student, utilize icebreaker questions, create a space where students can open up to you and practice English skills in a less formal way. Discuss any pressing issues or difficulties in school English classes which need to be addressed. So talk about your objectives, ask if they have anything specific they want to look at during that class. Section 2, focus lessons on one particular topic or skill. It's preferable to stay centered in one aspect. Maybe choose a topic relating to school and discuss skills, vocab that is relevant. You could also choose a skill like grammar and focus certain aspects of grammar, which align with your student's school program. Again, school, very loose. Obviously, not every student is going to be looking at English in school. There's many different situations where they may be receiving tutoring from you, but center it around what they want to learn, what they want to know about English specifically that day. Then section 3, to ensure retention of taught information, try finishing classes with a checkout that overviews material. Again, you could place this throughout the lesson, chop it up a bit. You don't have to do full teaching content and then at the end practice content. It doesn't have to be that strictly formatted. Go over any questions your student might have and include a fun ending activity. It could be playing a game, reading something, etc. Although that's not necessary, assigning homework also aids with retaining memory of content in the lesson. Okay, getting into the practice situations, practice worksheets, stuff like that. Example 1, this gives a situation where you as a tutor will struggle, and then it answers it, not in the slides, but in a link within the slides that talks about how to address this specific situation. So example 1, you have a student who clearly doesn't take their lessons seriously. One second. Right. Don't take their lessons seriously. They are constantly late, don't pay attention, and sometimes leaves their class without being dismissed, which is a big no-no. What do you do? And this is not the prompt. This is just in the slides. You can look at the links later within the slides, which I will repost in the chat later. I'll do it right before I put you guys in breakout rooms, just for new people coming in. Example 2, one of your students is regularly late for their lessons. You can tell that they are making an honest effort to learn and understand the concepts you're teaching them, but their tardiness for classes greatly hinders their ability to learn. I think this is a very specific situation, but if you find that your student is genuinely trying and they're always late, it could be a problem with the scheduling, and you'll definitely have to talk to them about that. Something similar to that, or get to the root of the problem and why they're always late. Then for example 3, you have a student who's always on time and never misses classes, so a little different from 2. However, they don't seem to push themselves in class and do the bare minimum, so they don't try. They show up, but they don't actively participate in the class and just retain information kind of basically. Okay, practice 2, a little different from the previous one. This one addresses some content we've looked for in previous presentations. So the first part, grammar, verb tenses, says let's overview 2 relevant verb tenses in the English language. Verb tenses provide more context for sentences and allow listeners to comprehend sentences naturally. Present tense discusses actions which are happening now or in the present. It implies certainty and narrates actions which are occurring. The present tense can at times utilize helping verbs helping verbs from the base to be. I run to the store, I am running to the store. Both are present, yet one uses a helping verb. It's not necessary to utilize helping verbs, but they can elevate levels of speaking. Or obviously they will be used in different contexts. Like I run to the store sounds a little odd. So it even sounds like you might be like writing a book saying I run to the store, or like a series of events. So if you were, yeah, it would probably be better applied there. So obviously I'm running to the store is not always going to be the better option. If you're listing a sequence of events, I am running to the store doesn't sound very appropriate. Like you could say, I start my morning eating a hearty breakfast. Then I run to the store to get groceries. Then I put away the groceries. It would sound weird if you said, I eat a hearty breakfast, I'm running to the store. It sounds kind of weird. Then past tense. Tense discusses actions which have happened. They imply certainty, like the present. So this is more preterite tense, not necessarily fully past, because there's also like past subjunctive, past imperfect, or imperfect is past, but that imply uncertainty. So this would be more past preterite. They imply certainty, like the present, but are not for the same reason. The present points out something while it unfolds. The past mentions the action after it has ended. Also uses helping verbs at times, usually from the base verb to have. Example, I did the laundry versus I have done the laundry. Again, it sounds, if you don't use helping verbs, it more applies to a sequence of events rather than I have done the laundry. Is more casual conversation. Okay, this is the part where you guys are going to type in the chat about this prompt, which says, what would you do if this hasn't happened to you, or have done if this has, when your student shows up without completing their homework? Okay, I'm going to give you guys a second to sit on that before I will start talking about my thoughts. And the chat is open, and I recommend that you post this to everyone. The last couple of classes, people will reply to me privately, which is fine. But this is mostly, I think, obviously for the benefit of you to exercise your thinking skills as a tutor. But I think this is also helpful for other tutors who might be going through this situation, might eventually go through this situation, and can gain like inspiration or insight into what they could do in this situation. So it's good to share with everybody. But if you share it with me privately, I'm going to put it in the speaker notes of this presentation anyways. So people are going to see it anyways. But let me show you. It's not, people won't see what your name is. I've done this a couple times now. Here. Like last Monday, we obviously had the same prompts, and then this is their responses. And obviously you can't see the people's names. So I anonymously put it in. Also, you guys can read this. Get some inspiration for you guys too. So I'll give you guys like a minute to think about it. I'll shut up for a bit. And again, not again, I haven't said this, but even if you're not a tutor, if you're a country director, you can reply to this. Just help others out. Like in here, it says, I'm not a tutor, but I would probably just go over it a little bit in class, then assign it again with new homework. So you don't have to be a tutor to reply to this. You can reply to it regardless of professional status. But I'm going to talk about, I think, my thoughts on this situation. So it says, what would you do, have done, when your student shows up without completing their homework? So I do have experience in this, but I'm a bad influence. I'm not going to share that just yet because the way I took it wasn't good. But theoretically, you could obviously talk with them, say, hey, I assigned this homework. Did you not see it? Like, were you busy? Why didn't you complete it? And get their reason. Communication is great. Communication is key. And just listen to them. Again, like they said, not a tutor, everything like that, for this response, similar to that, and just assign homework again. And even then you can, if they haven't done the homework, you can do the homework in class. Like, sometimes I'll make a worksheet and then they might have not done it. So that's just one less thing I need to prep for in class, and I can just use that as material. Obviously, that might come in the way if you want to move on from that content in that class, but that's what I've done. You can just do it in class if they haven't done it as homework. But let me say, if it becomes a continuous issue, also, guys, please type in the chat. I'm seeing radio silence here. You don't have to be embarrassed or anything. If you don't want to post it to everyone, it's fine if you just want to post it to me. It's okay. But please type in the chat. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, if it becomes a continuous issue, again, have a sit down, talk with them, be like, hey, why aren't you doing the homework? If they give you some like frivolous excuse where you kind of just get the idea that they're just not doing it because they don't like take it seriously, or if it's never like their priority, you can decide whether you think it's a big deal or not. I was in that situation and I decided it was not a big deal and I just stopped assigning them homework. But my case is a little different. I mean, not really. It was a little like, they're a little kid. They're like a third grader. And obviously their mom is the one receiving all my like Google Classroom notifications assigning the homework. So I just felt like it wasn't worth it to escalate or like nag like their mom about it. So I decided to stop assigning homework. But if you decide it is a bigger deal, maybe you should have a longer conversation about it, and say, okay, if you're busy, maybe you can try slotting it into this way because it's really important for you to like fully comprehend what we're doing in class and to demonstrate like your involvement and everything. Okay. Let me look at what they said. One person has typed in the chat, guys. Come on. Thank you. There are like 6 people who replied last Monday. Don't you want to be better than the Monday people? Okay, let me see what people are saying and I'll like paraphrase for you because they're direct messages. So it's saying, I'm gonna read it for a second. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, yeah, pretty similar to things I've been saying. Communication is lovely, great. Ask if it's because of difficulty. Engage where your student is at with the homework. Like if they couldn't complete it just because the content was too hard, you gotta step it down with the content a bit, kind of check yourself where you're and like what you're assigning your student. And of course, what I do is, what I recommend like wholeheartedly is developing an answer key along with every assignment. And it would be great if on your answer key you could have like little like margin notes describing like why that is the right answer instead of just filling it in the right answer. Okay. And that might help them along the way, like showing your whole like comprehension process through each answer. If they find it too difficult, that might unstuck them in their assignment. Okay. I got one more I'm gonna read. And of course, be positive, be nice. You can be like firm, but don't be mean, don't be rude, be considerate and understanding. Mhm. Okay. Yeah. So, completing it in class is a great idea. If they miss out on it, gauge their difficulty, and maybe you'll even have to like adjust your curriculum, your agenda for that class, the next class, stuff like that. Again, going back to the whole be flexible kind of concept. But okay, I'm gonna call it for now on this slide. I'm gonna continue on. You guys can keep posting in the chat if you want, if you come up with some stuff. I'll ignore it for now, but it's always good to continue replying because I can use it in the speaker notes and it can help someone later down the line. Okay. So additional resources. So when assigning homework, assign homework that corresponds, this is more general stuff. Assign homework that corresponds to the lesson you had just taught. You can try reviewing some stuff. I think it's good to keep in mind either what we just did in class or what we're planning to do next class. Obviously, don't assign them content they haven't seen. Sometimes I'll assign content that's predominantly stuff that we covered in class, some challenge questions, stuff like that. And maybe if in class I touched on a topic that we will see in the following class, like I'm a math tutor, so obviously you guys aren't gonna fully identify with this, but I was teaching systems of equations and we were just doing, there's like substitution and elimination method. So we were just looking at substitution for like a couple class periods. And then once we got stuck on this one problem because it ended up being like no solution. And with substitution, it was sometimes like if you solve it a certain way, it's just not going to work. But if you solve it a different way, it will. So I kept trying that and it still wasn't working. So I solved it with elimination and we immediately figured out, okay, this is obviously no solution. So I showed my student the elimination method without totally like formally teaching it. So I did assign like one question, like out of maybe like 5 or 6 that you had to use the elimination method, just because I like kind of touched on it and explained how it worked. So think what we just looked at in class and then what we're potentially going to look at next class. But obviously keep in mind that your student should be able to solve it without it being too challenging. Okay. Okay, check homework at the start of sessions. Again, I think it's great to provide an answer key. Go over if they got anything wrong, see if they have any questions about the homework. Then use homework as an assessment of progress and increase difficulty of your content like progressively, either throughout the class or throughout multiple classes. Just continuously start to increase difficulty and switch it up based upon how they respond to the homework. Okay. And then these are the resources for this lesson. The first 2, I think, are more general, like tips for tutors, stuff like that, curriculum, tips and resources, I mean. And then the environment one is more specific to creating like a tutoring environment, like a healthy teaching environment, positivity, and online education. So that one's more specific. I think those are good resources. But yeah, if you look at them, it's like must-have tutoring skills, methods of teaching, tips. And then the middle one, resources, which is pretty general heading. Is more like curriculum based stuff, more like general like English tutoring stuff. Okay. And that is it. And this final slide that I'm still not sure about the formatting on has some general resources, contacting the mentorship team, my team, me, and then the APP general resources. There's the PBSA where you log your volunteer hours, tutoring hours, prep hours, everything like that. The APP website, info about APP, and then the APP general curriculum, which is very important for you tutors. You should check it out regularly. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop my share. And I'm gonna stop my recording.